professionalinvestor.com's daily brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. It's Brian here at the TRI's Rational Investors Daily Brief Show. So I hope you like the intro. Getting a little bit better at it. I think we had to make that move, try and make this look a little bit more professional going forward. In fact, actually, I think we hired a consultant, and the consultant had a few suggestions for us. So don't be surprised if you see a few things that maybe change around TRI going forward. But hey, that's the way it is. We're heading into a new cycle. So we got to get our skirt together and make sure that we're all set up to attack this new cycle. And if anything, hopefully what ends up happening is this becomes more of like a TRI experience versus just the Brian Beamish show. Because the old man's getting a little tired. Man, I've been going 24/7 for like 10 years now. And I think on balance, we're doing a pretty good job. I will say, I was actually quite surprised to see the school as many students enrolled in the program as there are this term. I think it helps that I went on a few people's different webcasts and stuff like that and talked about how Bitcoin doesn't usually do very well around my birthday and how we had a lunar eclipse. Thank you, Cole, another great TRI member, for bringing those eclipses to our attention. But I think I looked relatively knowledgeable in these people's eyes, and they're like, you know what, man, maybe this guy's got something half decent to say here. And also too, I have to say, I mean, I'm absolutely shocked. Now I see down in the States, if you have a kid, you get a check for $3,500 from the US government. So our laughable price point for the level 1 program under $1,000 to basically change your life, maybe set you up to become a bazillionaire. And there are a number of TRI OGs that have become just ridiculously wealthy. I mean, maybe the consultant, I didn't see all of the notes, but maybe the consultant was like, you guys are charging too little money. I don't know. Anyway, it is Friday. I hope you enjoyed Julian's offering yesterday. Now we get about a half hour or so with the Beamish here today. I think I would like to really try and concentrate on 30 minutes, these shows. So Chris does a fantastic job at about the 30-minute mark to say, okay, enough's enough, Brian. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and make it a habit now, is at that 30-minute mark, we go, okay, that's it. You want to hear the rest of this sentence? Got to come on over to the after party. So anyway, I'm going to really work on that going forward. All right. So with regard to the market, sell in May and walk away. I hope all of you have your journals out. That's what you're supposed to be doing when you listen to the old man barking away here. Oh, gotta make sure that I'm angled correctly so that the green screen works. Anyway, sorry. So that should definitely be first and foremost on your mind. The interesting thing is you find that politicians, like the politics, they often align well with these seasonal patterns. So we often get, big sort of, ooh, the sky's falling kind of price action in the market right around exactly when seasonally the market is supposed to pull back. So it's one of these kind of things. Is the dog wagging the tail, or is the tail wagging the dog? And also too, today is Friday. I don't think I'll have time here in this 30-minute rant to go into options expiry, but I just see business as usual. We know exactly where Wall Street does not want the market to go out any lower. And the question here is, can they hit a home run and take a whole bunch of people's option premium money home with them to the Hamptons and go and get a whole bunch of hookers and blow on the public? So, well, we'll see what happens. But, like the news today, we always, people always sort of start off with, what's happening in the news? Why, what's driving price? But I might argue that today's a lot about options expiry and then also seasonality, sell in May and walk away. I think that a lot of what you're seeing in the market here is just seasonal rotation, nothing more, nothing less. We did have a pretty nice sell signal come in there on Bitcoin, for example. I actually think Bitcoin's a pretty good leading indicator in the market. And, I'm sure everybody watching this video is very familiar with the fact that Brian's birthday, be careful. If nothing else, the world should remember Brian Beamish because of his damn birthday and what it does to the damn risk market. Because I say this year in, year out, and it's remarkable how consistent it is. Anyway, you know what? And actually, this put a really big smile on my face. But our social media guru went and played with this kind of famous interview in crypto land. No idea what these guys are actually saying, but go and read the subtitles. It's great. And it turns out actually it's not because of Brian's birthday, it's because of Chris's birthday. Right there. And actually this guy's like, hey, it's Chris's birthday. Well, that makes all the sense in the world. So I thought that was adorable. Great job. I think, Josh, you're in the call here, or at least maybe he's over on YouTube. But that was a fantastic greet. That really put a big smile on my face. I will say, and of course, autism doesn't really care, but man, I had a pretty tough afternoon with Liam yesterday. So that was Liam's birthday gift to me. Dad, I'm going to remind you about how tough your life is. And as soon as you think trading's difficult, come and spend a little time in autism land, and then you'll appreciate how good you got it over there at TRI. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, so the news headlines today, right? That was shared in the TRI lounge. Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad you posted out. Whoever shared it, while I was out with Liam yesterday. Thank you very much. So what's the news here? And I think the most important thing that's going on here, and I thought it was interesting because even the news headlines are getting even worse as we talk. But the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, came out today and said that the deficits that we're sort of grappling with right now are actually much worse than what was previously expected. And on top of that, and why I think the stock market is selling off now, is it a question of, this is all about options expiry and they're manipulating the price of the market because of options? Is this because of seasonal rotation and we should expect the market to go into a bear for the next probably, 4 to 8 weeks, somewhere in that neighborhood? Or is it because debt ceiling impasses raises the risk of the bond market going into haywire, debt ceiling meeting between Biden and congressional leaders postponed, blah, 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 blah. So, if you're looking for an excuse of why the market's soft and risk is soft, I would say that the excuse du jour is going to be this whole debt ceiling issue. But I might argue also too that you're starting to see things like the US dollar index, and we've been sort of musing about this for a while now. I have previously on this chart pointed out that this is what they call an atom bottom. The question was this an Eve? This is looking more Evey, believe it or not, as time goes by. We used to have one guy on the site call these J-Lo booty bottoms. That's not really a very pretty bottom, but you get the idea of what I'm saying, right? Something like that. And the interesting thing with this, of course, is that this is a risk off bet versus all the other sort of fiat garbage currencies. And it's sort of like because the US is the hegemony, it's like if the world is in a risk mood, they will do things like they will go buy the euro, they'll buy Europe, they'll buy Asia. They'll put their money in equity, they'll take it out of T-bills, all that kind of stuff. In this case, it looks to me like the exact opposite. Taking money out of risk and parking it in US T-bills, just really short-term paper. So you can see it right across the spectrum. Stock market's getting absolutely bitch slapped here. Commodity market's getting hit hard here. And actually, the interesting thing about the gold market is I'd actually make the argument, oh, isn't that interesting? They broke the market to new lows here. You can see we were having fun trading this thing before the daily brief. And actually, I placed my sell order. I picked up some here and I placed my sell order up in here and got a fill heading into the daily brief. So that was pretty good timing, eh? So anyway. And I mean, this was like one winner, one loser on the day. So it wasn't really like that, great of a day. But what did I want to say? Oh, actually, this is a really cool setup that we teach in our level 2 program. This is the volume profile. And these are the profiles on the ES. And actually what's interesting is in the Twitter feed, and this is where I get distracted and I want to talk for an hour or two. But this is such a really good example. This is Hoag's 80%. We used to call it the 80% rule when I was at the prop firm. But then, it's sort of like, well, you can't call it the 80% rule. So I just call it the 80% play now, because in essence, you can see the market here accepted back into yesterday's value range after opening outside of it. And 80% of the time, if we accept back down into previous days value range, we should tag value high, we should tag value low. And so that's basically exactly what happened there. You can even see, we called this we used to have a gentleman on the site. What the hell was his name? Now I can see his face. I can't remember his name now though. Oh well. Anyway, he was Jesse James. That's right. The question is his name James? Yeah, I think his name was James. Maybe his name was Jesse. Anyway, we called it the Jesse James setup. He really liked it, where basically you would hunt for previous sessions value lows and a 78.6 tag. So I think that's actually what just happened there, right on the nose, doink. So, is this a trader's life and a trader's world? Is this about U.S. debt ceiling? U.S., and like I said, CBOE just came out, or CBO just came out and said, actually, the situation is much worse. And you can see people are fleeing out of risk. Look how they're fleeing out of all the fiat currencies and just piling into the US dollar index. And that was that image that I showed you. I actually think that's a buy. And that corresponds perfectly with the seasonal trade. Sell in May and walk away. Everybody's selling the stock market, selling risk assets. Of course, your beloved Bitcoin's been getting its head handed to it these past couple of days. And they're just parking their money in treasuries. So ironically enough, it's just business as usual. One thing I did point out that I thought was really interesting, I got sidetracked because of that crude comment, but you can actually see it in the gold market as well. So it's not just Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin and gold to a certain degree are the risk off proxies. But Mr. Hendry the other day, and I publicly put, I even tweeted the video out. I think Mr. Hendry is an extremely intelligent individual. And he had pointed out that he thought that there was just too much love in the marketplace for the gold right now. And he was not going to invest in gold up top here, because he invests in stuff that people are selling, right? He is the quintessential, especially when it comes to macro, buying when they're crying, selling when they're yelling. And he said he thought that the gold market was just way too loved right now. And of course, all of you, because you follow my silly rants, you know what to think if you see the market smiling at you. Meg, tell them, what are they supposed to think if they ever see the market smiling at them? So this is basically the exact inverse of that US dollar index chart. It's an exact opposite. And you could make the argument that theoretically gold is priced in US dollars. So if gold's just sitting there just saying, hey, I'm a lump of gold, here I am, it's not really doing anything. Then if the US dollar is going to go screaming higher, this thing has to come down just to stay equal. So it was interesting, this low here, and this is the June contract, so they're probably going to start rolling out into August soon. But the low on this contract here was 2007, 2007. And you notice the low here today, 2005.7. That is now a confirmed M. And of course, you know, all you Bitcoin fans, you already know, hell, we got these huge honking M's. And you also should know, because I've been barking at you guys about this forever, that we had this really nasty megaphone trade level here. So there it is, huge megaphone top. You know, if you don't know about this, for Pete's sakes, write this stuff down, right? Take screenshot of this. You know, of course, we've got our education program. This is the whole reason why I built the education program, is trying to make a positive difference in your guys' lives. Want to teach you how to trade, want to teach you how to manage your behavior, want to teach you what a megaphone is and how you should be acting through this. The only question is, will you actually listen? I don't know. I can, as good old Ross Perot used to say, right? You can lead a horse to peanut butter, or no, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it eat peanut butter. I think that's how it goes. That's an old Saturday Night Live line. Dana Carvey, he used to always make fun of Ross Perot. Anyway, so I think this short trade is in full motion right now. Initial profit objectives probably should be the midpoint of this megaphone coming into, so what does that say? 22, 23,000, somewhere in that area. Interesting how we have big old fogging bombs now that are actually valid and working, and that's where I have this take profit level. And what I do find fascinating about this is, you'll notice that if we draw a trend line off of this pivot low and this pivot low, oh, gee whiz, that lines up nicely with that 2.618. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but I was barking publicly. And if anything, this should be a really good testament to the whole notion. There's I think it was Jimmy Rogers, but I can't remember exactly. Somebody would say, I only trade when I look over in the corner and I see a big pile of money just sitting there, and all I got to do is just walk over and pick it up. And if you've never heard that before, for Pete's sake, write that down. But this is a tweet that I put out on May 1st, right? Where the headline is, setups are setting up. So you can't say that this trade wasn't very well telegraphed. And you can't say that the crypto community wasn't warned that this could potentially happen. I mean, we were just sitting there, just chomping on the bit, ready to go. When was this one? Because this looks like it was a little bit earlier, right? So date, well, May 7th. I guess that was a little bit later. Anyway, the point of the matter here is that I've been talking about these bearish setups. And of course, seasonally, Brian's birthday. Then we also were at this incredible lunar eclipse, which is such a fantastic tool to add to your tool belt. And then also too, and I think I even put out a message to this effect today, that, you know, we also, and what I said was happy birthday to me. BTC is going to take a pee, because I couldn't think of a better way, right? Really what I wanted to say was Bitcoin was going to take a dump. But anyway, what I thought was fascinating about this is that, I mean, this was just so incredibly cliche. Not only about, like, you know, like I said, lunar eclipse, Brian's birthday and all this, but this was also a really, really good testament. I don't know where the hell it went, though. This was a really good testament to the FOMC, right? Now, did we just get FOMC'd again? Maybe I just posted in the lounge, but in fact, I think that was the headline that I had on this, was there is the trade. So you can see we're up a couple $100, and this was just like shorting an eighth of a Bitcoin, so not even that much. In fact, this would be an interesting tell. What is 0.125 of a currency unit called? What is that? And so that's kind of, it's interesting. that I actually did that trade, because that actually is very relevant to this asset. So let's see if you can figure out what that post in the comments. We got 30, 40 people watching this. Post in the comments. Why does Brian have a bit of a chuckle about the fact that he sold 0.125 of a Bitcoin here? Is there some sort of relevance? And I just gave you the answer. But anyway, so, I do find it fascinating that, ironically enough, we just got FUMC'd again. This is business as usual. It's so cliche. It's ridiculous. So anyway, it is what it is. What I will say, though, is, sell in May and walk away, all that seasonality. You saw the US dollar. I mean, that is a huge bull. And look at this damn thing. This thing is absolutely on fire here right now. I would not get in the way of that. 2.618 is probably a pretty good objective. Notice 4.669s, which is the real bifurcation level. It actually lines up really nicely with like a trend line tag of that. We could probably even start to think about when this 4.669 is going to get hit. It probably is right along that trend line event, which actually would put us out. Well, no, maybe that's a little bit off. Anyway, but I digress. The point here is 4.669s and 50% levels. I think that's probably a pretty good shot there. So we got the gold topping out. You got the US dollar bottoming out. You got the commodities coming off. You got the stocks coming off. The interesting thing is Bitcoin broke a day or two ago, right? I think it was the day before my birthday that it actually broke. So nobody should really be surprised at what's going on here. The interesting thing is what's the excuse that they're giving? Of course, consumer sentiment numbers came out this morning. They weren't very happy. So that's sort of, that's more fuel for the fire. Normally when I do these videos with you guys, we talk a little bit about Econs. So, the headline here is U.S. consumer sentiment falls to 6-month low. Interestingly enough, these aren't even really that big of numbers, right? We know that the bottom of the move will come when we start seeing like 2-3%, maybe 4% drops. And the saddest part about all of this is that this is actually going to get the Republicans in the Congress to balk, which is kind of disappointing, right? And this is the whole sort of can the Peter Lynches of the world, right? The private equity dickheads, they're in control of monetary policy. And this circles back to DeMartino Booth. And her comments about how she believes the Fed is trying to wrestle back monetary policy from the Peter Lynches of the world, who would just, as soon as money doesn't become free anymore, they'll just dump the stock market and force the Fed to balk. Now, interestingly enough, they've actually shifted the blame, if you will, from the Fed to the Republicans in Congress. So go figure. Anyway, are we just getting started? I mean, you see what the Bitcoin chart looks like. Just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking of for corn, I gave you a couple levels there to chew on. I actually really we had a really interesting price action well, I won't get into this, maybe in the after party. But you can see, again, what are we supposed to think if we ever see market smiling at us? Write this down, people. Have your journals out. Learn from this shit. It works. So just, respect it. And we can draw Foggenbaums now off of the smile, and it gives us a target there, 2.618, 24 Gs. I like that. Also, too, I see quite often this happens, where 2.618 happens to line up nicely with Mountain Man, 0.618. So the fact that we have those 2.618s, one 2.618, the other 0.618, I think it's a foregone conclusion that we got to come back down to these levels. How quickly we do it, I don't know. I mean, it might just happen by the end of today, or it might take the next month to develop. I don't know. We'll just sit in this short. I'm fairly comfortable just to sit here and do absolutely nothing. And the fascinating thing about this, and this is what I just don't quite understand about this market, and it's kind of leaving me scratching my head a bit. What the hell's going on with this stuff? Like, why is this thing going nuts here? So in a weird sort of way, our algo at TRI, it hasn't broken down. And I think this is kind of a function of, you heard Brian bark about this enough. 5s and 6s on the breadth on the weekly commodity trend survey. Well, these are actually markets you should be thinking about buying, not selling. So I find it fascinating how the breadth just won't break down here. This is also an interesting tell, and actually, Mr. Salmon, and he's calling himself Mr. Salmon. I think he said he wanted to call himself Mr. Chicken in sort of respect for the broiler chicken show and all that kind of fun stuff on the site. So hugs and kisses, Johnny. Love you dearly. His Discord name is still Johnny Salmon, and he said he can't figure out how to change his username on Discord. So if you do see him on the site, he's Johnny Salmon on the site still because of Discord. Anyway, and I really respect this message from him where he said, I can't really get bullish until I actually see the ES and the S&P join the bullish camp. If all three of these are bullish, then he becomes uber bullish. Right now, and it makes a lot of sense that our algo signal off of Bitcoin is just kind of floundering here. It's not really doing much because there's names like this that are still rallying in crypto. Like, what the hell's going on here? Go figure. And like, look at this little guy here. I think we just mentioned it. Look at it. He's trying to rally here. I thought, Brian, you said you're selling me and walk away. What's going on here? And you can see this isn't really all red. It's sort of a mixed bag, some up, some down. So I noticed like one of Sjord's names that he really likes. Look at that son of a gun, just ratcheting higher here off of just the most beautiful test of the bottom here. So there are bright spots in crypto. And look at this, our little crazy ass name. Look at that little W right off the damn mountain man level there. So go figure. I mean, what's this guy? FXX up 7%. I mean, I wouldn't have a buy signal here, but it just goes to show that there's a lot of cross currents going on in this space right now. And I think that, the way I'm actually interpreting this is that I don't think that Bitcoin is like trending down. I've sort of said this to you guys a lot recently that I still think pullbacks, but you can see, in fact, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Colin said that he might be coming into the Daily Brief after party today. I did a video show with Colin. So this is whenever you see Colin Pump Chaser Zone reference, that is basically Colin from Hero. And actually I found out, and I was just surfing through some of their tweets and Colin's tweets, but this was from this interview. Colin is the gentleman up top here, I think. No, actually, maybe he's right here, the middle one. But this gentleman also, a Jedi from Hero, he's taken the TRI program. And I have to say, a lot of people, thank you very much, Colin, and the Hero gang. And I sure hope I live up to your expectations. And the education program, I think, is just absolutely beautiful. It's going to set you up to do really, really well going forward. But Colin had suggested that he might pop in for one of these Friday shows. I don't know whether he's here today or not. He said he might try and pop in, so maybe look for him in the after party, and we'll have a nice little chat with him as well. So the point being that he did say that a number of people from his site might be coming over and taking the program. Did see a few people signed up, so welcome. And I would say the same thing that I've been saying repeatedly here is that there is a bunch of support in this area. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, folks. This is crypto. We all know how crypto acts, especially with the weekend coming up here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like violent like that through the weekend here. We're at a couple really important moving averages. And of course, we've got the breakout of the head and shoulders. So the problem is that, this market is heavily, heavily manipulated. I mean, it's staggering. You saw how that one social media influencer could totally run around with price here. You can't do what he did in the stock market. In fact, in the stock market, you remember when Alan used to talk about his stock, all of the analysts on Wall Street all started freaking out, and Alan almost got kicked off the board of the directors of the company. That's how serious Wall Street takes this stuff. In crypto, oh God, every bloody day there's somebody trying to do something. And I had said earlier, like, I don't know why these names are pumping like this, but I kind of joked with Chris that I wouldn't be surprised. Where the hell's that funny little altcoin? I wouldn't. Okay, you know what? That's it. Okay, so if you want some more free, join in. We'll tune in on Sunday, and we'll pick it up with the Broiler Chicken Show. We should have a nice little sort of public opportunity to chat and answer your questions. But I think probably the best thing for us to do is get into the habit. Heading on over to the Afterparty show now. So if you want a final thought, where the hell is it? And I even put a tweet out, wish me luck. I'm pretty close to banging out a double here. My hunch is probably into the weekend. They're probably going to give me a fill, but who knows? Maybe not. My order's working, so just got to follow my plan, do my thing. Let's head on over to the after party. Let's continue the conversation. And if we have people like Colin pop in, that'll just be an extra treat for everybody this Friday. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best. And bye for now.